Okay, we're going to get started. I'm Tamara, president of Afro UPRIS. This is the candidate forum for City Council District 3 with Omar Torres. We have the rest of our moderator and our leadership team here, so I'll pass it to Jamal.
Hey everybody, my name is Jamal. I serve as the VP for Afro UPRIS, and looking forward to having a good discussion with Mr. Torres. Basil, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Basil Saleh. I'm the political director of Afro UPRIS, and I'm very much looking forward to this conversation with our D3 candidate.
I'm Kiyoshi Taylor. I'm excited to be here with my comrades here in Afro UPRIS, and I'm ready to just get to it.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you for those of you who just joined. We're going to get started, and I will promote you, Omar, to panelists, and I'll do the spotlighting so we can see everyone who's going to be speaking.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. All right, go ahead, Kiyoshi.
Okay, well, first off, how are you doing today, Omar?
I'm doing good. I think I have a head cold, unfortunately. So it's all the the shaking hands and kissing babies that I probably got a head cold. So taking it easy today. So do miss being out there on the door. It's also important to have conversations with our members of our community. So you've given me a small little break from knocking on doors, but get a chance to recover from I think it might be allergies or a head cold, but whatever the case it is like right here, just penetrating right now.
Well, we hope you feel
but thank
better.
you so much for having me.
Of course. Okay, well, let's just get right into it. How about that? So in the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, many people have been outspoken for the needs of the Black community. How have you honored and committed to Black Lives Matter?
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I forgot. We were going to give Omar a minute to introduce his campaign. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Omar. Yeah.
I'm my internet has been please if I need because on my end it just said here, so you just let me know, okay?
It is cutting in and out a little bit, but
I'm going to suggest that we take all of the non-speakers off of video.
Very good.
All right. Okay, well, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Omar Torres. I grew up in the Guadalupe, Washington part of the city of San Jose, which is a downtown neighborhood right next to the 280 and the 87. I started organizing when I was 14 years old, when there was an unfortunate fatal drive-by shooting in my neighborhood. I was on my way to volunteer at our local after-school program, and unfortunately, a man waiting for his daughter colors and was unfortunately killed in a drive-by shooting. And so that sparked not only my activism, but a bunch of my neighbors' activism, because it was a tragedy, and that was just continuing to happen in our community. And the reason why it was happening in our community is because we were a under-resourced neighborhood. We were predominantly immigrant, predominantly Latino. And so city government, county government, state government ignored us. We didn't have a seat at the table, unfortunately. And so that changed because we, as a community, we really knocked doors organizing our community. We marched to City Hall, we marched to the county building. We talked to our state assembly people to bring in more resources to our underserved community. And you name it, we fought for everything, because anything that any program that you're able to provide to a community makes it better, such as we were able to get youth programming, which eventually led into creating a youth center. We were able to get funding to expand our local public library. Our library in our neighborhood was basically a closet, totally unfair, totally just, and we were able to get that library out of the closet and into a on South First Street. So if you don't know the city of San Jose, you see that big, beautiful brick building, which is the Biblioteca Latinoamericana, is the Washington United Youth Center, with myself and a bunch of other of my kids and friends, family, organized for those services. But you name it, calming measures, creating after school programming, working with our folks who have drug addiction and mental health issues. We did that in this community. And so when we talk about creating real life solutions to the many of the issues that we are facing still, unfortunately, today here in the city, I have been able to do that in my roles as a volunteer, a city employee, a nonprofit executive, a school to 2 school districts, and have the best schools, which is Franklin McKinley and San Jose Evergreen Community College District Board of Trustees. So I'm someone that rolls up my sleeve. I'm during election season. I'm running against, I've actually never met, by the way, in the 25 years assisting my community. You see my, it's this way. You my banner. When I say homegrown, that is me, because I make sure to bring everybody to the table to make important decisions.
Sounds awesome. I'm glad that we have such a local kid here helping out.
Well, thank you. I'm 40, but I could still be called a kid.
Hey, we're all youthful at heart, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, now that we've heard a little bit about you, we want to hear a little bit about your action plans and stances. So let's ask a couple of questions and let's hear some answers. All right.
Absolutely.
Right on. Okay. So in the resurgence of Black Lives Matter movement of 2020, many people became outspoken for their for the needs of the Black community. How have you honored a commitment to Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So for me, marching against injustices, again, is not an election year tactic. It's not something I do because it's the popular thing to do. Marching for is extremely important, especially since I come from an immigrant family. Also, I've in the last few years, I've opened up more about my own identity. So I'm an openly gay Latino. I am a former student that was going to San Jose State when we were having two ugly, disgusting wars that George Bush took us in. They were cutting our tuition. I mean, marching for our folks has always been in my blood. And not only as a volunteer, but an elected official, I've made sure to make sure that we have equity when it comes to education, when it comes to positions at City Hall, or even passing policies for diversity and inclusion. So right now at San Jose City Evergreen, we are a crossroads. We are under enrolled at San Jose City College, and so we've pushed for for free tuition. We've pushed for free parking, for free Wi-Fi spot. As you know, I should get myself since my internet's a little bit stable today. But you name it, we make sure. I'm someone who makes sure that says, hey, our folks are not getting the resources they deserve, the resources they need to succeed, especially in education. Because for me, education is a priority, because I didn't get the best of it, and many in our community didn't get the best of it, but we fought hard, right? And like anywhere else, education should be accessible, should be free, and should include everyone. And I've done that as a school board member. And so every single day I make a decision on that dais, well, every Tuesday, sorry, every Tuesday, but also as a human being, I make sure that my decisions are on making sure that our folks are heard, that we have, that our folks have a book in their hand, that they have a classroom to be safe in. So that's me, and always will be me.
Okay. Next question. Black, Latin, Indigenous, and people of color in our community want to stay housed in their community, but it is larger systematic issues that are preventing them from staying. For example, lack of access to affordable housing, lack of living wage jobs, lack of generational wealth. How can we prioritize keeping Black and Latin residents in San Jose, many of whom have called San Jose their home for generations?
Absolutely. I take pride that I come from a working class family. My parents were Teamsters. I have a lot of uncles who were local 270 or labor. They were laborers, and so working class is the community that I grew up in, and the working class is the community I hope to make sure that continues to stay here in the city of San Jose. They built the city of San Jose. I'm actually the only candidate on record to support rent control. I'm the only candidate on record to support SB 9. I'm running against two candidates backed by the realtors and candidates backed by Mayor Liccardo, who dance around the issue of gentrification. They dance around the issue of affordable housing. They say, yes, we need to build housing. We need to build housing in the right places, which code word is they don't want to build housing around here. They don't want to build housing in our working class neighborhoods. For me, I'm not going to be a candidate who's NIMBY. We're going to have these strong conversations and these important conversations with our community leaders and say, affordable housing is needed here in the city of San Jose. Permanent supportive housing is needed here in the city of San Jose. We need to make sure that we are utilizing Measure E and both Measure A monies for our first-time homebuyer programs. And I'm so glad that under the leadership of Supervisor Chavez that we've actually were able to increase it from, I believe it was 800,000 for the first-time homebuyer program to $1.1 million, because let's be real, a lot of houses in the city of San Jose are no longer under $1 million. And so when we talk about using monies to build affordable housing, that's extremely important, but we also need to utilize these housing measures to help people buy homes for the first time, whether it be a house, a condo, a townhome, you name it. But I'm the only candidate who is going to make sure that we are building affordable housing where our working class community is living and working. And when we talk about affordable housing, we need to build for teachers. We need to build housing for veterans. We need to build housing for seniors. I mean, that's extremely important. They're the ones that are educating our folks. They're the ones creating a strong economy here in the city of San Jose.
Well, let's stay on that topic of housing briefly. So according to the 2019 San Jose homeless census and survey report, San Jose has a 3% Black population, but 19% of its unhoused people are Black. How do you plan to provide services and resources to the unhoused community that will result in Black people getting housed in San Jose?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question. So we need to solidify our relationship with the county. The county has done making sure that when the city, especially in the city, a lot of these encampments are within the city of San Jose, and we need to make sure that we continue to work. Our county. I work for the Santa Maria Urban Ministry, and I with our unhoused population, and I can assure heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching. And of course, many of the issues that they had were mental health issues, and they were addicted to a substance. And so we need to really coordinate our services to make sure that our folks who have mental and drug addiction get the services they need. We need to utilize under resourced things for shelters. We need to really work on creating sanctioned encampments here in the city of San Jose. I went off camera because it's saying that I'm unstable right now. We need to really have those tough conversations and have areas where we can build tiny homes. We need to work with our other nonprofits, especially our religious ones, who are able to utilize safe parking, or parking lots and churches for safe parking. It's very unfortunate that many who are unhoused are folks of color. It's very unacceptable that number continues to rise, because we are definitely in a human crisis. And again, I'm someone who's going to be making sure that our most vulnerable community gets into shelters, gets into transitional housing, make sure that we are giving housing vouchers to the right folks. So I'm gonna hold just as much as folks are holding the city accountable when it comes to the unhoused. I'm gonna work with our county to make sure that they are providing the resources, services for our unhoused.
Okay, well said. Let's shift the topic a little bit to policing. According to the California Healthy Kids Survey, in the school year 2017 to 18, 74% of Black students don't believe that police make them feel safer. How do you plan to make school safe for Black students?
Right. So this is a very disappointing statistic. Everyone should feel safe where they go to school. Everyone. And to me, it's very, very sad that our folks of color do not feel safe because police officers are there. And it's very, very, it's so unfortunate. And the same goes to our Latino community. I have a story to tell you. My brother, who went to Leland High School, a predominantly white school, was accused of stealing at his campus. And I was at work. It was like my first week working for the Strong Neighborhoods Initiative at San Jose City Hall. And I got the phone call that he had been arrested. And I was like, for what? My brother's like of the dark. I mean, what did he get arrested for? Oh, he stole can you believe that? He stole a computer. I'm like, a computer? I'm like, what? I don't think that's right. And myself and my mom marched all the way to Leland for them to tell us, oh, sorry, it was a case of mistaken identity. And we're just like, you had like my brother in handcuffs. Like, this is definitely uncalled for. So I understand. So I believe that we need to start getting law enforcement out of our schools and have more community service officers or social workers or counselors. We need to hire more social workers. We need to hire more counselors. We need to really pressure our state to provide for that. A lot of schools, unfortunately, cannot afford social workers because they're amazing, but they cost a lot of money. And so we as a community can't do it alone. We can't govern alone. And so when we talk about accountability and when we talk about collaboration, that's what we need to do. We need to ask the state to provide us monies to get police officers out of our schools and bring in more services like social workers, guidance counselors, especially guidance counselors. It's very sad that in public education you have more police officers than you have guidance counselors or librarians. And so I can assure you that as a city council member, I will do that. But also I've been doing that as a school board member. I've asked our school district continue to hire more guidance counselors. I've asked our school officials to hire more social workers. I've asked our school to hire more librarians, more tutors, more teachers, teacher aides, because that's who saved my life. A police officer didn't save my life. My school librarian did. My elementary school social worker did. Those are the folks that saved my life. And so we need to have more of those folks in K to 14 as well.
Let's stick to that subject actually, because this is something very timely for us who live, especially near downtown. Over the past 5 years, no San Jose police officer has been prosecuted for killing someone despite 19 fatal encounters with the police, ranking San Jose #1 in the Bay Area for fatal encounters with the police. How do you plan to hold SJPD accountable? And how do you plan to prevent brutality of Black people?
Right. Thank you for that. And other answers. It's very unfortunate that we're having to have this conversation. It's very sad that we pick and choose on how cops should be held accountable. For folks like yourself who have been super involved in holding our police accountable, I'm sure you're extremely disappointed on what our chief and the mayor have been doing in the past couple of weeks, right? I think what they did was disgusting, being drunk on the job, doing some in front of victims. I mean, they suspend police officers for drinking and being explicit, but yet they turn a blind eye when a police officer shoots an unarmed person of color. The priorities of our San Jose Police Department should not, I mean, yes, it should be that, hold them accountable, but don't pick and choose accountability. If we're gonna be accountable and transparent with our officers, reprimand them on every negative thing they do on the job. Reprimand them when they shoot folks of color who are unarmed. And by the way, it's what's sad to read is, 48% of the folks who they've shot and killed have been Latino. And I come from a neighborhood where even walking from San Jose State after finals or studying or just driving around, going home, I've actually been pulled over by San Jose Police Department and asked to sit on the sidewalk. You know, and when I pull out my ID and say, oh, look, I'm a student in San Jose State, they just like, oh, you know, people from San Jose State live in this neighborhood. I'm like, yes, they live in the Guadalupe, Washington neighborhood. You know, there's a bad stigma, and thank you for pointing that out, but this is a beautiful neighborhood, you know, and we're all out there trying to get educated. So I'm proud to not be endorsed by the San Jose Police Officers Association. I'm for many of the recommendations of the Police Reimagining Safety Committee. Sorry, I live in Japantown and the train is coming, and it's super loud. So give me like 20 seconds as I try to recover from this train. By the way, that's a big issue when I knock. Like I can't do anything about the train. So I'm not endorsed by the San Jose Officers Association, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay because I definitely believe that we need community service officers. We need more community service officers in our neighborhoods. We need more community service officers protecting our businesses. We need to make sure that we're reinvesting in our youth. I wanna make sure that we spend more monies on prevention, not law enforcement. I want to make sure that we're spending more money on rehabilitation as well. And I think as someone who's actually served on the nonprofit side of the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force, I think that it is now the time to rename that group because it is too law enforcement based. We need to create a real solid plan that prevents our youth from entering the system. And that if they do go into the system, that we have even stronger rehabilitation programs for them when they come out of the system. Again, we need to hold our police officers accountable, not just with certain decisions that they make, but all of them as well. And so again, I'm proud to not be endorsed by the San Jose Police Officers Association.
There we go. Okay. You kind of touched on this a little bit already, but if you just would like to elaborate a little bit more. According to the 2021 Silicon Valley Pain Index, Black adults are 6.6 times more likely to be given a local infraction by SJPD as a result of a non-traffic stop than a white adult. For example, for things like loitering, smoking in a park, shopping cart possession, and having open bottles. What are your plans to reverse the disproportionate criminalization of Black people?
Right. Well, I wholeheartedly believe that we need to be utilizing, again, we need to be utilizing folks who are not in law enforcement within our city. We need to make sure that we have recreation specialists at our youth center parks, especially in parks where we know that they are quote unquote a hotspot here in the city of San Jose. We need to be proactive, having our PRNS folks being at our parks. They do I was a rec leader myself. I didn't necessarily work in the prevention part. I worked in many of the after school programs at the city of San Jose fully funded. Speaking about that, fully funded, I should say. It's unfortunate that the city of San Jose doesn't fully fund after school programs anymore. That's an option that I want to, that's one of the priorities that I'm gonna have council member is having more after school programming, not only in our youth centers, but working with our school districts as well, and our centers, our youth centers that we have, the many beautiful youth we have here in the city of San Jose. But again, when we do not have PRNS staff, we need to work with our community services to do that as well. Our community officers should be on how to handle these situations, because we cannot arrest ourselves out of this. We just can't. And like I said, we here in the city of San Jose, when we are dealing with youth, when we're dealing with our unhoused who have mental health issues, we shouldn't be using law enforcement. We should be using our own specialists. And if we don't have those specialists, continue to work with our nonprofit providers to have those specialists and not our law enforcement agencies.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit. So there is a long and rich history of the Black community here in San Jose. What is your economic plan to work with the Black community to help empower and promote generational wealth? How would you support opportunities for first-time homebuyers, entrepreneurship, housing assistance, and other community assistance?
Great. So when it, such a we can be here for hours. I recently have gotten a job with the San Jose Downtown Association, and I work on helping small businesses get the permits they need. Sorry, y'all, internet connection is unstable, so I'm going to get off video again. So I work with hundreds of small businesses in downtown. I believe I want to remember is make sure that our San Jose Downtown Association is working with our Black here in the city of San Jose. I actually have a really great relationship with the American Community Services Agency, as Milan and I actually went to San Jose State University, and that's where we met as student activists. And what he's done at the center, oh my, it is definitely the epicenter of our Black community here in the city of San Jose. And by the way, it's actually in District 3. And so when I say that I want to have everybody at the table, it's going to include community leaders like Milan. It's going to include community leaders like all of y'all here on this call. Again, there's so many programs we need to, folks are not being left out. When it comes to measure housing, work with a workshop targets our Black San Jose Association to have a task force so we can hear that up small. And by the way, it is very, very popular. Nirvana, we need to, as unity I leave off? Kiyoshi and Tamara, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hear me?
Oh, yes, you're back.
Where did I lose you all?
About like, I'd say 20, 30 seconds ago, it was getting a little
Okay.
iffy.
So we need to as an elected official, just like accountable, I'm gonna hold other organizations accountable to make sure associate on creating and making black business owners have the tool they need to succeed. AXA on just our black community on owning their own home, Measure A and Measure E monies, the and everybody deserves to have a seat at the table and elected officials willing to work community and willing to put these plans forward.
All right. Well, I will now just pass it to Comrade Basil. So for a couple of yes or no questions, take it away.
I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I have the worst. I don't know if I ended up finishing that last question. This is the first time I moved to Japantown that I'm really unstable, so I do apologize for that.
It's okay. I was working at the county when we were talking about this issue, so I know how widespread it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
I'll start with some, I have some yes or no questions, so hopefully this
Yeah.
can be pretty easy. The first one is, do you support a gross receipts tax or a progressive tax in San Jose? Oops, might have frozen there. Are any of my other panelists getting audio or is it frozen? Is Omar frozen?
I didn't hear anything. I think Omar might be frozen. Omar, if it helps, maybe come or leave and then come back. Oh, I think that's what he's gonna do.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, okay. So in the meantime, let me just put the questions in the chat for everyone who's attending. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and also for your patience. Technology is always unpredictable. If anyone has any questions that they would like to hear from Omar, you can add them to the Q&A.
I'm back. I'm
Oh.
I'm like super embarrassed. I'm sorry, y'all, that I have the worst internet connection today. I don't know what's going on.
Don't worry about it. This happens a lot, and actually it happens to candidates, not just yourself. I've seen it. So
Yeah,
you're
well, I
not
mean,
the only one.
I need to talk to City College and be like, I need a Wi-Fi spot too, you know, but no, we need them for the
Yeah.
students. I'm okay without having one. So I do apologize for that. Yeah, I really do. I think it's important for us to be ready, and I don't know why my internet keeps going in and out.
It's, it is what it is. So I can tell you're on your phone. Thank you.
Yeah,
Being
I've
committed
logged
to
on
this
on my phone.
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, Basil, go ahead.
yeah, the
Okay.
lightning question.
So our first question is, do you support a gross receipts tax or a progressive tax in San Jose?
Yes.
Wonderful. My second question is, do you support the removal of school resource officers from schools?
So this is our police department, our overtime police officers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you support an alternative to the mayor's gang prevention task force?
Yes.
Do you support decriminalizing the unhoused community?
No.
Do you support increasing funds to the San Jose Police Department?
We explain just a little bit more.
It's tough to ask as a yes or no question. I
Yeah.
understand.
So, well, I'll go with no,
Okay,
because I
fair
think we need
enough.
on overtime pay. So, you know,
So I'll ask a follow-up question here, my own personal follow-up question. If I'm not mistaken, you're the only elected official and civil servant, former staffer that is running in D3. Is this correct?
yes.
Okay. So I'm curious as to how that experience shapes your approach or the approach that you intend to have as a council member.
Yes, absolutely. I worked as a policy aide for Councilmember Magdalena Carrasco, and we worked in the beautiful East Side, and we made sure that everybody had a seat at the table, and we made sure that we were cleaning up our East Side. So beautification days, dumpster days, utilizing our public libraries, utilizing nonprofit partners to keep our youth and seniors safe was top priority for Councilmember Carrasco, and I'm very glad to be part of that team. I no longer work for her, but she's endorsed me, and I'm connected to her, and I continue to see all the amazing things that she's been doing for our beautiful East Side. So
Great. My follow-up to that is, has redistricting, the redistricting process significantly affected the demographics in your district? I know you're from Guadalupe, Washington, which geographically takes up a small portion of the district, but it is kind of one of the stranger shapes in terms of city council districts.
Yeah, we have a weird little, armpit up in Berryessa. So we carved into Berryessa. So I'm actually very funny that you asked that question, Basil. So in my 25 years, I have probably worked with neighborhood groups, organizations in every part of the district, especially in the Berryessa part. And so for me, it's no lie that I'm homegrown. Many of the residents that were knocking on their doors, I met them via City Hall, or I met them as a nonprofit provider. I met them as a neighborhood organizer, or many of the folks who, and it's actually really heartwarming, is a lot of the folks that I'm bumping into are former classmates of mine that I haven't seen in over 20 years from Lincoln High School. So, I'm homegrown, and I actually, most of my college district is mostly District 3, and I was elected to this board almost 2 years ago. So we're also getting a lot of folks when we knock on their doors say like, "Oh yeah, I voted for you for college sports." So it's still ingrained in their mind. So that's a good thing.
Gotcha. We have a question from Carmen Bramer. So I'm going to invite her if she wants to come on and ask this herself. Otherwise, we can ask that question for you, Carmen.
I just invited you to panelist, Carmen.
Okay, so my question that I got to go back and read what I wrote is, if you get elected or get into office, how are you going to manage to not become a part of this system that is not equitable for all?
Absolutely. And I'm going to make sure that you in this room, my allies, are holding me accountable. I'm going to expect you to pull me aside and say, don't forget where you come from, Omar. And actually, for me, I actually never forgotten where I come from. I'm proud to say that I came from a neighborhood that was under-resourced, underserved, and that's the community that made me. Like I continue to say, I wouldn't be here standing in front of you today, if it wasn't for guidance counselors, if it wasn't for our city librarians, if it wasn't for our recreational programs in the city of San Jose. And that's why I'm actually proud to get the endorsement of our city librarians and folks in our PRNS department, because they know that I'm a product of those resources, and that many in our community deserve to have the tools and the resources that I have. And that's going to be my perspective on the San Jose City Council is I'm going to make sure that you're also holding me accountable. And I'm going to be okay if you give me construction criticism. I mean, I'm still to this day, I'm 40 years old and I'm afraid of my mama because she's brutal, she tells it how it is, so, constructive criticism is extremely important, but also accountability.
And if you don't mind, could you expand on what accountability means to you?
Yeah, if you think I'm out of touch, if I vote on an issue that's against our values, and I hope not to, hold me accountable. Drag me through the mud. Tell me why I voted the way I did, on why it was wrong. So I hope not to.
And we're recording this. We're recording this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Jamal to ask our next question.
Appreciate that. It's good, Omar.
Hi, Jamal.
I live in District 3 with me and my family, so I'm listening to your words intently. So appreciate you taking the time to speak to Afro UPRIS and share. And thank you for switching to your phone so we could hear everything you're saying.
I don't know what happened. I hope my answers were choppy.
Yeah, it's all good. Can you just expound a little bit? I know it was a yes or no question, but you said you don't support decriminalizing the unhoused community. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I thought did I hear that wrong?
You said the question was, do you support decriminalizing the unhoused? And you said no.
Oh yeah, no. So I'm sorry. I must have misunderstood. Our unhoused population, they're not criminals. Our unhoused population should not be treated as criminals. So sorry if I misunderstood the question. My sinus is kicking my tush today, so my brain is definitely hurting. My skull is definitely hurting today. So I'm sorry to have answered that wrong. No, absolutely not. I've worked as a nonprofit provider, working with our unhoused on providing them resources and services. And I've dealt with many of them who came into my center who were agitated and angry, and I had to calm them down. Never once used the cops to do it. Never once. And I'm proud to say that I didn't. So yes, the unhoused are part of our community, and that's why we need someone who's going to fight for them every single day on the dais.
Appreciate that. It wasn't lying, and I was struggling to understand that.
Yeah,
how you went from there to there. So this makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate.
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, thank you. That's what Omar. No, pay attention.
Yeah,
learn how to question.
Cool.
So,
appreciate it.
Thanks, Jamal, for the follow-up. So we've got just a couple more minutes left, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just add any additional information for Afro UPRIS members to hear if you want to expound on anything, but 2 minutes, since we want to respect everyone's time.
Or yikes, a 2-minute conclusion? No,
yes.
Don't tell.
Or a closing remark, however you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, for me, the important part is that we have a city hall that looks, speaks like our community. I've always been someone who has put our community first, even even before my needs, as a matter of fact, actually. You know, I say it, and I say it proudly. Serving my community has had its challenges, not only for me, and you know, so growing up as a closeted gay man, I turned to drugs and alcohol, and so when I hear our community saying, you know, crackhead or drunk to our unhoused, that's inhumane. It's very sad, because I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm a recovering drug addict. When I hear the candidates that are running for office saying that they want to contract out city services, that means less city librarians. That means less recreational leaders. That means less firefighters. That means less crosswalks, crosswalkers. That means less folks working in our DOT. I mean, there's times where I sit there and it's like, this is why I'm running. I'm running because most of the candidates who are running for this office are not grounded or rooted in our community. Like I said, I've been serving our community for over 25 years, helping businesses, collaborating with nonprofits, neighborhood groups, PTAs, you name it. And I have met the candidates only once.
All right, Omar.
Oh.
Thank
So,
you.
yes, was that already 2 minutes? Oh my God.
Yes.
Well,
but-
I hope to have your support, because we definitely need someone who's a community advocate to be on the city council.
I appreciate everything you've shared with us today. Thank you so much. We will be posting this recording to our Afro UPRIS YouTube page. If anyone has any questions or wants to learn more about Afro UPRIS, please email us afrouprise@gmail.com or check out our website, afrouprise.com. And then Omar, if you have a website or any information you want to type into the chat for our members, we can send that along with the recording.
Great, I'll do that. Thank you so much.
All right, have a great night, everyone.